Ritsuka is a goody two-shoes girl living with her mother since her father went to buy milk but never returned. One day, her mother also disappears while Ritsuka gets chased by vampires and devils who are after the powerful grimoire sealed in her. However, before any of this, a girl walks through a hall which is filled with creepy men who come out of the shadows to look at her, and she finally reaches the main stage. A guy sitting there questions where the grimoire is and that whoever has the grimoire will be the ruler of the world. The girl is lifted in the air in front of the full moon where she goes in a trance. In the present, Ritsuka makes breakfast for her mother and herself early in the morning, and her mom wanders in the kitchen after sleeping late due to her work deadline. Ritsuka picks out some herbs for her salad from their garden, and she then eats breakfast with her mom, who tells her that she will try finishing her manuscripts in a day. Her mom explains that her job is to translate a British fantasy magazine this time, and they then get a call from Ritsuka's brother Lindo, who is in London currently. Afterwards, Ritsuka is about to head to school when her mom stops her and makes her wear a charm which Ritsuka finds cute, but her mom reminds her that such charms are really important. She even hugs her, after which she leaves for her school. She meets with her friend Azuna at her school, who asks her about the English assignment they had, and she then comes across a notice from the student council president Rem telling her to report to the library. Her friends wonder whether she broke any rules or did anything to get attention from the student council, but Ritsuka cannot recall anything that she might have done. Even the other students start discussing whether Ritsuka is in trouble, and she then heads to the library to meet with the president Rem, who has summoned her. She arrives at the gigantic library, which seems fit for royals rather than students, and finds the student council body sitting there. Rem then introduces himself as the president of the student council of Shiko Academy and informs her that they have received reports that she has violated some school regulations. Ritsuka cannot believe this news since she is sure she hasn't broken any regulations, and Rem tells her that they have to do a proper investigation since they have received a note. She demands to see the note, and she also starts questioning who wrote it and what the note says, which makes another council member named Yuri point out how Ritsuka is talking back to him. The council members find her interesting, and Rem uses a special ability to induce a trance-like state on her. He freezes her on the spot, due to which she relaxes and then tells her that he called her because he wanted to ask her something. Suddenly Ritsuka's pendant starts to glow, which repels Rem backwards, and it brings her back to reality as well. She repeats to him that she hasn't broken any rules and runs away, while the council members cannot believe that Rem's ability failed to work. They notice that Ritsuka herself doesn't seem to be aware of her pendant's powers, and Rem promises to checkmate her next time. Ritsuka heads outside and meets with her friend Azuna, who asks her about the council ordeal, so she tells her that Rem is a huge jerk who was accusing her of breaking regulations without any proof. She wonders why the girls are all crazy over him, and she even tells Azuna that she won't go back to the council if they summon her again. She then spends her day like normal, which includes studying and chatting with her friends. After school, she buys some groceries and heads home, where she finds that her front door seems damaged. She runs inside to discover that her garden has been trashed around, and she even spots some random dudes going through the things in her house. The guys continue their searching without noticing her, and she then spots her mom on the ground. She tries to get inside, but her mom signals her to run away, so she runs outside and tries calling the police. Her call doesn't go through, so she runs to get the police, and when she arrives back, she finds that all the damaged things in her house are back to normal. The police visit her house with her and see no damage, even though she had previously seen the opposite. They all go through her house, which seems speckless, and she mentions to the police that her mom was even bleeding. The police assume that her mom has just gone out, and they tell her to contact them if her mom doesn't come back. They then leave, and she keeps calling her mom, but no one attends her phone. She thinks that her mom might have gotten kidnapped, so she calls her brother Lindo and informs him about everything. He assures her that he is coming back and advises her to stay with her friend Azuna till he comes back. She thinks that she should stay at her house in case her mom comes back, but he tells her that the bad guys might return for her. He also advises her to keep her pendant on at all times, and afterwards she informs Azuna about everything. She packs some necessities, and once she is done she heads to Azuna's house next, but the same guys appear out of nowhere in front of her. She asks them about her mom, and two of them hold her tightly as they push her downwards. The third one looks at her straight in the eye and asks her where the forbidden grimoire is, but her eyes start to sting, so she looks away. The guy realizes that her pendant has some verbena in it, and just then, Rem appears behind them in a car. The guys attack him, but he dodges all of their attacks smoothly. They all gang up on him to put him down, but he is too sigma for them as he dodges all of their moves and then uses his powers to turn them into ash. Ritsuka is unable to see everything, and she thanks him for saving her. He notices that she is trembling, so he refrains from making a comment and instead takes her with him. She then informs him on the way about everything that happened and that the guys asked her about a forbidden grimoire, but she doesn't know anything. He asks her what she knows about the grimoire, so she reveals that her grandfather used to study ethnology by studying folklore about European black magic, demons and vampires, due to which she also has a little knowledge. He takes her to his huge mansion where they have tea together, and he comments that there are a few students at their school who are devil worshippers and who also tried to accuse her of devil worshipping by launching a complaint against her. He comments that they probably think the grimoire is in her house, due to which they ransacked her house, and she thinks that the police should try finding her mom. Rem assures her that he will use his Kajanuki family influence to make the police search for her mom, and that he is only helping her out to maintain balance in the school. The next morning, they both head to their school, and Ritsuka informs him that her brother is returning in a day, so she wants to stay at her friend's house in the meanwhile. He still comments that his home is much safer than any other place, and she thanks him for all the help. They both arrive at their school where the students see them both get out of the car, and she again thanks him for letting her stay the night at his house. She runs away while the students start gossiping and wondering why she is with Remington. Some girls even throw mean comments at her for being close with Rem, and Azuna then rushes to her side. She informs her friend about everything that happened and that she is really grateful for Rem even though she called him a jerk just a day ago. The day passes by as she takes her usual lessons, but she keeps praying for her mom's safety as well, and during lunchtime, Azuna comes to take her to the cafeteria. She comments that she isn't hungry, and just then, another guy comes to tell her that the student council is calling her. She thinks that the police may have found her mom, and Azuna insists on going with her, but the student tells her that she has to come alone. Ritsuka then follows the SUS guy to the library where the rest of the council members other than Rem greet her. She even spots Rem's dog, whom she had met at his mansion, and Yuri welcomes her. He introduces himself and then tells her to come to him for help since he will make her heart beat wildly. She doesn't know what to make of him, and another council member named Shiki also welcomes her. She gets to know that Rem has told all of them about her situation, and Shiki then starts yapping about how many unfortunate things may happen to her. His creepiness keeps escalating, so another council member named Mage brushes him aside and tells Ritsuka to come to him for help. He even pulls her near him and she pushes him away. They all bicker with each other, and Shiki once again tells her that he can help her out the best. Rem's dog bites his leg, so he threatens to put him to sleep. Rem arrives at the room just then, and he informs them that he has been in touch with the police, who have told him that they were able to capture her mom's GPS location for an instant. He reveals that her mom may be in Nagano Prefecture near Karuizawa, which makes her comment that her late grandfather's house is also at the same location. She informs them her grandfather's research material is still in the house, and Ren offers to go to the location with her. They both head to Nagano, and she informs Azuna about the latest developments via text message. Meanwhile, the other council members discuss why Rem is taking Ritsuka along with him since he can go by himself, and Yuri points out that Ritsuka may have some useful information that she even isn't aware of, which Rem wants to get. They all find Rem pitiful for doing such things just because he is the heir of the Arlen family, or the Kajanuki family, which is their disguise currently. Rem offers her some lunch during their ride, and he convinces her to eat even though she isn't hungry. She finds the lunch delicious, and she thanks him for all his help for the 100th time, which he doesn't think is necessary. She asks him whether he likes dogs a lot, so he mentions that his dog Roan just follows him around everywhere. He doesn't seem to be in a chatty mood, and Ritsuka notices that he isn't eating mushrooms in his lunch. She points out his habit, and he starts making excuses that mushrooms aren't real food but they are fungi. Later they arrive at her grandfather's estate, where they discover that the place looks like it has been ransacked. Ritsuka is about to rush inside, but Rem points out that the perpetrators may be still inside. They both cautiously walk inside, only to find the whole place ripped apart and ransacked. All the rooms are a mess, and Ritsuka runs from one room to another to look for her mom, but she doesn't find her anywhere. Rem then spots a mobile phone and hands it to her, which belongs to her mom. She starts crying, and he assures her that they will surely find her. He also comments that the devil worshippers may be behind the incident and that they must be looking for the grimoire. He then asks her about the grimoire again, so she mentions that her grandfather had a lot of books, but she doesn't recall any special grimoire. She also reveals how she would spend time with her family at her grandfather's house as a kid, and he notices another lady in the family picture. She reveals that her mom has a sister, but the sister died when she was a baby. Ritsuka starts tidying up everything, so he tells her that he will send some servants over to clean things up and that she can accompany them as well. They both head outside, but they find the main door locked, and Rem thinks that they have been trapped somehow. They head back inside and find that the main drawing room has been set on fire. Rem uses a curtain to deal with the fire, while Ritsuka rushes outside to get a fire extinguisher. She runs into the kitchen where a SUS guy grabs her, and Rem arrives just in time to kick his butt. Rem then orders her to go away, so she runs outside again while the SUS guy sets the kitchen on the fire with his lighter. Rem doesn't care about the fire and a lot of other guys also appear, so Rem uses his powers to generate blue flames around them. He sings a song which makes the flames dance around the attackers and the other guys start attacking him. He once again smoothly dodges all of their attacks and attacks them back. He uses the same powers to turn a few of them into dust, and one of the attackers runs away while he pushes the last attacker against the wall. He asks him whether they have found the grimoire, and after learning that they are still searching for the grimoire, he turns him into dust as well. The fire spreads around the house and Rem walks through the fire to head outside. Ritsuka rushes to hug him when she sees that he is safe, and he simply steps away from her because he is a Sigma Chad. The police arrive at her house and some helicopters also come to extinguish the fire. Later Rem takes her back home and she arrives back to find that her brother Lindo is waiting for her at the gate. He welcomes her and assures her that everything is going to be alright now. Ritsuka introduces Linda to Rem, but he doesn't greet him and instead drags her away from him. The next morning Rem goes to the student council in a sour mood, and others discuss how he went to such lengths to get the grimoire but he still failed at his task. Yuri tells him that he would have definitely succeeded and Rem reminds him to wait for his turn. Meanwhile Lindo wakes Ritsuka up after barging into her room and she scolds him for entering a young lady's room so abruptly. She kicks him out and then changes into her uniform. They both eat breakfast which Lindo made thanks to his excellent cooking skills, and he tells her to take some days off from school. He also tells her to avoid Rem at all cost, but she cannot figure out why he is saying this, and she reminds him that Rem has helped her a lot since the disappearance of their mom. She thinks that he should apologize to him for acting out when they met the last time, and Lindo then proceeds to sprinkle holy water over her. He throws some water all around the house and even in front of the house. Later she tells everything to Azuma and they both make plans for Azuna to spend a night at her place. Ritsuka reveals that she has got a great deal of tea to spill to her, and Lindo then arrives in her room to tell her that he is heading out for a task. He tells her not to worry about their mom since he will figure something out, and that she should not leave the house at any cost, after which he then leaves. Ritsuka thinks about all the mess that has recently been happening and she starts worrying for her mom again. She hears something so she rushes outside the house only to find the street empty. Yuri suddenly appears behind her and tells her that everyone in the council is really worried for her. She informs him that she cannot leave her house and even invites him inside for some tea, but he notices the sprinkled water at the front of her house and decides to stay outside. He instead tells her that Rem has got some information about her mom due to his family connections, and she decides to go with him. She rushes inside by herself to change, and he then takes her to a huge greenhouse. He leads her inside and they start to hear music coming from the garden. They both reach a group of their schoolgirls who all look like they are having a party, and all of them rush to Yuri's side to flock around him. Yuri instead takes Ritsuka's hand and makes her sit on the couch, which makes the girls make negative comments about her. She asks Yuri where Rem is, and instead of answering her he puts one finger on her lips and welcomes her into his Eden. He then proceeds to sing the world's gayest song in which he talks about love and the fruitful nectar of love. He imagines putting a girl into a cage and dancing with her till the music reaches a climax and their dance ends. In reality, he puts Ritsuka into a trance and leans onto her to kiss her, but her pendant stops him and she snaps back into reality. She sees his lecher face up close, so she slaps him and asks him where Rem is. She then notices that all the girls from her school are heading slowly towards her. Azuna shops for some cream puffs which she wants to gift to Ritsuka, but she then gets a voice note from her telling her that she has found some news about her mom, due to which she is leaving. The girls chase after Ritsuka, who cannot find a way outside, and somebody shuts off all the lights of the greenhouse. A bunch of carnival rides start to appear inside the greenhouse one by one, and Ritsuka finds herself standing in front of the amusement park rides. The girls continue to chase after her, so she runs into an alley to get away from them. All the lights lit up around her and the girls spot her, so she notices a mirror house nearby and runs inside. Rem returns to the council room and sees that somebody has messed with his chessboard, which makes him realize that Yuri must be up to something. The girls chase after Ritsuka in the mirror house and she continues to run through the halls of mirrors. At one point they apprehend her and try to forcibly take the necklace away from her. The lights get shut off and a mysterious figure helps her escape the girls. He turns out to be Yuri himself, who helps her hide behind a ride while the girls continue to look for her, and he explains that the girls get really emotional and possessive about him. She asks him where the President Rem is for the 100th time and that she hasn't told anyone about her location. She also calls him a liar for luring her inside his greenhouse, and he tells her that the people around her are all bigger liars. He tells her that her brother is also lying to her, and when she doesn't believe this, he explains that her brother had actually gone to England to become an exorcist rather than study folklore like she had originally been told. She recalls how Lindo sprinkled holy water over her and was praying at the gate in the morning. He also calls her mom a liar, and when she doesn't believe this either, he tells her to ask her brother about her mom's truth. He starts to bring her into his trance by staring into her eyes, and he gets close to her, but once again the pendant repels him back. He asks her where the grimoire is and that she should take off her pendant. She begins to take it off, but suddenly Rem arrives and pulls her towards him. He scolds Yuri for acting out of turn, and they both tell Ritsuka to come to them. She instead runs away and Rem starts to go after her, but Yuri stops him. He asks him why he is so obsessed with her even though all the people are like chess pieces for him, and he doesn't get any answer, so he asks him whether he is doubting his childhood friend's loyalty by hiding things from him. He also taunts him that they both have equal strength, so he shouldn't underestimate him. Ritsuka runs into Lindo on the way, and she looks back to see that the amusement park has disappeared. He takes her back with him while she wonders how he knew about her location and whether he is actually an exorcist or not. Yuri recalls that Ritsuka had a very unique fragrance and he decides to have her at any cost. Ritsuka has a dream in which a number of SUS men chase after her, and she comes across her mother who is injured and bleeding. She runs towards her, but somebody stops her and tells her that he will hold her till she falls apart. Lindo then wakes her up and she almost falls on him due to dizziness. He declares that he will take care of her, which makes her recall their childhood in which he used to say the same thing. In the past, Ritsuka was crying over her toy when Lindo assured her that he would talk to their mom and that he would always stay by her side. Ritsuka tells him that he was also protective about her and that she used to consider him her prince. She then tries opening her window but finds that her window has been locked from the outside. Lindo gives her the same cryptic message that he will do whatever it takes to protect her, which makes her question whether he is really an exorcist. Later he tells her that their grandfather was the top researcher in his field, due to which he attracted a lot of bad attention like some vampires and devils who ended up killing him. Ritsuka recalls that their grandfather was actually sick when he died, but Lindo informs her that he was inflicted by a deadly curse due to which she was not allowed to see him at the time of his death. Their grandpa slowly disintegrated due to the curse, and at the time of his death he delegated the responsibility to take care of the Tachibana family to Lindo, who was already familiar with all kinds of folklore. He tells her that he became an exorcist due to this reason and that her mom also gave her potpourri and her pendant to protect her. She then recalls that her mom's attackers had red eyes, and Lindo concludes that vampires must have abducted her. She cannot figure why they would do that, so Lindo informs her that the devil's powers have been dwindling in recent times and that there's a book called Grimoire, which is a book of magic and which can allow the bearer to control the world. He also reveals that the devils think that the secret to the grimoire lies with their family, and Ritsuka protests that she doesn't know anything. He then drops the bombshell on her that all the council members know about grimoire because they are actually devils, and she protests that Rem actually saved her life on many occasions by risking his own life. Lindo doesn't believe this, and he reminds her that the devils killed their grandfather and abducted their mother. He promises to keep her safe at any cost no matter what happens, and she wonders whether Rem is actually her enemy. She keeps recalling everything and how he saved her, which makes her wish that he isn't a devil. Lindo heads out and he locks the door before leaving like an obsessed creep. He starts to sing a song in which he sings about how he keeps telling himself that Ritsuka is his sister and how he is becoming an exorcist just for her sake. He mentions that he has to atone for the sin that's flowing through his body and that he will protect her no matter what happens. He then leaves and Ritsuka jumps into action when he heads out. She uses a tool to break the window open, which had also been locked, and she takes her stuff with her because she wants to see the truth about Rem with her own eyes. She heads to her school directly, where she goes into the council room and gets greeted by an unknown member on the door. He doesn't say anything and instead closes the door on her face. Rem then arrives and she asks him whether he really only wants the grimoire. She mentions that she has always felt very protected, and he replies that Lindo dislikes him a lot, due to which he cannot do anything more for her. He then heads inside and shuts the door on her face. Later he comes to her classroom to look for her, and Azuna tells him that Ritsuka hasn't come to the school today, but he tells her that she came to meet him earlier. Meanwhile, Lindo receives a blessing from the Holy Father of the church and he gives him a fancy-looking ring in a goblet. Ritsuka comes across some girls chit-chatting about Rem and she discovers that he has actually been looking for her. The girls discuss that they need to find Ritsuka so that they can bring her to Rem, and she barely avoids them when Rem appears before her. She also hears Azuna calling out to her, but Rem simply drags her away with him. Azuna and Lindo both continue to look for her on school grounds, but they are unable to find her, and Lindo uses some kind of magic spell to locate her. Ritsuka asks Rem whether he and the other council members are really devils, but he simply pushes her against the wall and starts getting close to her. She pushes him away and makes a run for it, but he appears in front of her again. A bunch of Rems start to surround her, which makes her realize that he may be a devil after all, and one of them gets near her. Lindo rushes into the scene and pushes him away from her. They all begin to gang up on him and he tells her that he is with her. He blocks her while a group of Rems start kicking and hitting him. Meanwhile, the SUS council member watches everything from a distance. He thinks about how he lured Lindo just to see his powers, and Lindo keeps blocking Ritsuka, due to which he starts bleeding. Ritsuka screams out loud, which makes her pendant shine, and he grabs it. He then brings out his holy book and starts to chant some verses. Magical circles appear underneath all of the rems and they get blown away in an instant. Their facade disappears, which reveals that they were ordinary students all along, and the real rem also arrives at the scene. Lindo warns him to stay away, while the SUS member called Roan decides to retreat because he thinks that his experiment was a success. Later Roan returns to the council room and Rem asks him where he has been, but he doesn't answer him. Ritsuka tends to Lindo's wounds and he insists to show her that all council members are actually devils. She still believes that Rem is not evil, and he calls her a dumb loser for believing in him so much. She declares that she will return to school to find out the truth and that he cannot stop her, otherwise she will sneak away. He calls her hard-headed and then makes her wear a ring which is called Ring of the Sacred Lux. He explains that the ring will keep her safe and that he is going to the school with her if she is insisting so much. Rem thinks about how he needs to find the grimoire before anyone else, while Lindo goes on an adventure where he exorcises a bunch of devils. He turns them into ash and then proceeds to declare for the 100th time that he will protect Ritsuka at any cost, while another vampire watches him from a distance. The next day, Lindo attends school with her and he gets surrounded by the students because of his status as the new transfer student from England. He waves at Ritsuka, which makes some of the girls question his relationship with her, and one girl asks her whether her new ring is a gift from Lindo. The girls begin assuming that they are dating, so Ritsuka informs them that they are siblings. Their classes resume, and during one of the classes the student council members Mage barges inside the class. He walks up to Ritsuka and throws her over his shoulder. He then jumps out the window and does some magic which makes her classmates forget that anything ever happened. Azuna doesn't get affected by his trick, and Lindo also barges inside the class. The student council members discuss how Lindo has joined their school and how they can use him to extract more information, but they mention that Lindo has the backing from the Exorcist Society. The boys tell Rem that he can keep playing with Ritsuka in the meanwhile, and Yuri points out that Rem cannot ever fail as the heir of Arlen family. Mage brings Ritsuka to the top of a huge tower where she trembles from fear, and he makes fun of her for being so weak. He even jumps from the tower, which shocks her, but then he appears on top of her and comments that devils cannot die by falling from such a height. She cannot believe that he is a devil, and he uses his magic to ask her about the location of the grimoire. She tells him that she is not aware, and he uses even more magic on her, but suddenly his magic gets dispelled by the ring that she is wearing. Mage figures out that Lindo has used the ring to deal with him, and he tells her to be his girl. She asks him what he means, so he tells her to fall in love with him, and he mentions how girls cannot help love him once they get to know his non-existent cringe abilities. He conjures up a space in the air and then tells her to accompany her. They both jump into the gaping space and he takes her on an adventure where he takes her to multiple places one after another. They go to the pyramids and then to the Italian bull fights where he fights a bull. They then head to an Asian festival and Ritsuka tries to make a run for it when she gets the chance, but he keeps appearing in front of her. He then takes her on a drive by the ocean and they go to a fancy restaurant next. Mage eats food even though he dislikes human food, while Ritsuka refuses to eat anything. He comments that Rem must have found her impossible to handle as well, and she starts defending him, so Mage reminds her that Rem is a devil who lies to get his way. He asks her whether she has fallen in love with his manliness yet, and she reminds him that she can never like a man who forces her to follow him and doesn't listen to anything that she has to say. He then detects a fragrant smell that she is emitting and gets close to her to smell it, but she pushes him back and rushes towards the washroom. She decides to at least run away from him, so she sneaks outside from the back entrance of the restaurant and makes a run for it. She instead runs into some shady dudes who are making a deal, and she turns back only to run into Mage himself. The shady dudes start arguing with Mage in foreign language and he cannot understand them, so they rush at him with knives. He thinks that he can finally have a proper meal, so he takes them on and dodges all of their attacks. He ruthlessly beats them one by one, and Ritsuka uses the chance to escape once again. He then devours one of the men and attacks the last of them. Ritsuka thinks that she should go to the police to reach out to her brother, and just then Rem finds her in the alley. He takes her to a helicopter which is headed towards an airfield and informs her that his private plane will take her home. She wonders how he knew her location, and he advises her to get in touch with Lindo as soon as possible since he must be worried about her. He seems relieved to see her safe, and she asks him whether he is actually relieved because she is the key to the grimoire. She comments that she trusted him a lot and then asks him whether he is really a devil. Rem tells her that he has to fulfill the purpose he has been given, due to which he needs absolute power and an obedient pawn, and that she is also one of his pawns. She then tells him to stay back since she feels hurt by his words, and Mage jumps between them. He carries Ritsuka on his shoulder and asks Rem why he has come, so Rem tells him that he seems to have forgotten his place since Ritsuka is his pawn only. He decides to deal with him, so Mage tells him to get lost, and he then conjures a space. He jumps into the space with her and Rem fails to follow the both of them. Mage then carries her through a strange place and he notices that she seems really upset, so he teleports her to a beach where the sun is setting. He thinks that a typical human like her will definitely enjoy the scenery, but she remains upset and he asks her whether it's really such a bad thing that Rem is a devil. She tells him that she is not upset because of his devil identity, and she then starts crying, so Mage does what a sane man would do and he licks her tears. He finds it really sweet, but he then becomes very embarrassed and ends up accidentally dropping her into the water. Afterwards he apologizes to her for dropping her and then teleports her to the next place, but suddenly he lands on a magical circle instead. Lindo appears with his holy chanting and he notices that Ritsuka is all wet, so he gets the wrong idea that Mage may have done something to her. On top of that, Mage hugs Ritsuka and tells him that she is his, which makes Lindo even more angry. His eyes turn red and he starts chanting even more furiously because he thinks that he cannot allow anyone to ever touch her. Mage realizes Lindo's identity and Lindo propels him back with his powers somehow. He keeps chanting like a maniac and Mage then throws a bolt of lightning at him, which Lindo blocks with his magical circle. They both face one another again and Mage declares that he will take him down with his final move. Lindo continues muttering like a psycho that he won't allow anyone to touch Ritsuka, and Mage throws his lightning attack at him, so he conjures his own magical circle. Ritsuka runs between the both of them because she loves attention seeking, which makes both of them withdraw their attacks, and she then collapses into Lindo's arms. Mage declares that he will definitely make Ritsuka his and then storms off. Lindo hugs her and she thanks him for saving her. Later Mage realizes that he can still smell Ritsuka's scent on his clothes and Shiki interrupts him. He tells Mage that he has some plans that will really delight him. The next day, Lindo doesn't come to school because he has some business to take care of, and he gives Ritsuka a huge lunch basket to eat. Azuna points out that he is going to plan her upcoming birthday on an even grander scale, and Ritsuka informs her that she just wants to spend her birthday with Azuna instead. They both walk towards the class and Ritsuka sees a bird in the hallway, so she opens the window to let it fly away. She then spots Rem in the hallway, which makes her recall his cold behavior towards her, but he simply ignores her as he walks away from her. Rem barges inside the council room and declares that none of them can act out of turn because he has the full command as the heir of the Arlen family regarding the forbidden grimoire. Yuri points out that he isn't making enough effort to procure the grimoire, and Mage argues that the vampires are also after the grimoire, so they need to procure it first. Rem tells them that his progress was delayed because of their meddling, and they shoot back that he seems oddly committed to Ritsuka. Mage asks him if he likes her, and Shiki yaps about how a situation can produce results by cornering the subject. The others don't understand what he is trying to say, and Mage even threatens to cut his wings off. Shiki reminds them that he has no place to go outside of their circle, and he keeps yapping about useless stuff. He then threatens the dog Roan and storms off, while the others think that he just wants some attention. Ritsuka spots somebody tearing off all the flowers on one of the flower beds, so she tries stopping him, and Shiki instead pushes her to the ground. Her hand starts bleeding a little and she points out that she cannot ignore him if he is plucking out so many flowers. He then randomly grabs her hand and traces the scratch that she got, so she steps back and he tells her not to go away. He wonders whether she can help him out, and a lot of thorns seem stuck in his hand, so he washes his hands next. She also cleans her hand and gives her handkerchief to him to wipe his hands. He starts yapping about how the thorns in his hand will always make him remember her, and she seems worried for him, so he puts the handkerchief in her pocket and suddenly hugs her. He comments that she smells nice and that everyone is very mean to him, but she is being very kind. He reveals that everyone makes fun of him because he is a fallen angel who has been cast out of heaven, and he thinks that they are both similar, so Ritsuka reminds him that she is just a human. He still thinks that they are similar because they are both searching for answers about their identity and purpose, and he then asks her whether her mom also liked gardening a lot. She admits that she did, and he tells her that he can think of one place where her mom might have gone. He starts to pull her with him, but she hesitates when she recalls how all the other council members always got her into trouble. He asks her to trust him because he is not like the other ones, and Azuna then comes to her side, so he asks her to tag along with them. He takes them both to a sus-looking alley, which Azuna doesn't like, and Shiki tells her to leave them if he cannot trust him. Ritsuka argues that she wants to see the truth with her own eyes, and they both then follow him further. Lindo's church superiors tell him to keep his powers under control to avoid being lured into darkness, and they mention that the grimoire appeared in their area some time ago, but it disappeared soon thereafter, due to which the creatures of darkness are looking for it. They tell him to report to them immediately if anything happens, and he gets dismissed. Shiki takes the babes to a museum which is surprisingly near their school, and he shows Ritsuka a painting. He then disappears behind a wall and she tries finding him, but she gets lost in the museum too. She then hears his voice telling him that the place is like a maze of memories which will help her find what's important for her. She observes some paintings and walks over to one of them, which seems oddly familiar to her. Meanwhile, the other council members discuss how Ritsuka is looking for her mother called Maria and whether they even know where her mom is. A bunch of school students walk inside a sus-looking place where Ritsuka's mom Maria is kept in an unconscious state, and before they can do anything, some vampires attack them. Ritsuka finds herself in her grandfather's study room and she looks outside to see her dead Aunt Marta making out with someone. She also hears that her family is celebrating her birthday in the kitchen, so she walks inside only to find herself in a dark room. She then overhears people saying that Marta is too young to leave a child behind, and she even sees Lindo sleeping with his mom Marta, which shocks her. Up next, she observes her grandfather telling Lindo that he can never trust a devil and that he has to keep the grimoire safe for their Tachibana family. She then sees a stranger who tells her something and she jumps back to reality in fear. Shiki hugs her from behind and asks her to reveal what she saw, and he comments that she saw her memories from the past when she was a kid. She runs outside and Shiki asks her whether she can really return to her home now. He starts singing a song as she tries to run outside the museum and she gets confused due to many rooms. He keeps following her and she snaps back to reality to find him hugging her. She pushes him back and he tells her that he cannot leave her, so she should become his. He then uses his magic to put her in a trance and starts to get close to her, but just then, Azuna arrives and pushes him back by throwing holy water on him. She does it again and then starts chanting something which conjures a magical circle. Shiki gets bound in the circle and flames erupt in the circle which keep him down. Azuna pulls Ritsuka with her so that they can escape, but Shiki then dispels the flames and stands up quickly. He pulls out his wings and reminds the girls that he actually has angel blood running through his veins, so exorcists cannot put him down. Ritsuka learns that Azuna is actually an exorcist and that Lindo knew about her identity, which makes her think that Azuna must have been a friend just to get to the grimoire. Azuna defends herself that grimoire cannot ever be put into the wrong hands, and Shiki calls her a liar and a sinner. He pushes the two girls away from one another and then proceeds to attack Azuna with an array of feathers. She tries blocking herself with her magic, but the feathers still injure her and she collapses on the floor. Shiki then steps on her and starts yapping about sadistic things, so Ritsuka pushes him away and declares that Azuna is still her friend even if she lied to her. She tells him that she cannot see anyone get hurt, so Shiki decides to listen to her. He teleports them back to the school and walks away without revealing anything about her mom. She notices Rem watching them, so she runs towards him and asks him about her mom. He also ignores her and simply walks away while she keeps thinking that she is not a pawn. Rem gets summoned by his father, who asks him why he is taking so long, and he in return apologizes to him. His dad reminds him about the devil's pride in the human world and that he will have to atone with death if he betrays him. Rem declares his unwavering loyalty to him, but his dad just throws him back and tells him to get the grimoire or else he cannot become the family heir. As he is getting butchered by his own dad, the council members discuss how unlucky he is and how they still want to topple him. They all realize that Rem is occupied with his dad, due to which they can try to get to Ritsuka, so Shiki makes a run for it and the others follow him outside. Rem then stumbles out from behind the curtain in a wrecked state and falls on the coach. Ritsuka and Azuna shop for some supplies for the upcoming cultural festival, and Azuna keeps warning Ritsuka to not wander off because she thinks any of the devils might attack her. Ritsuka thinks she is being too overprotective of her, just like Lindo, and they discuss whether they should ship the supplies to the school or try to take them back themselves. Azuna heads to the counter to discuss the delivery arrangements, and Ritsuka spots Rem's dog Roan in one of the counters. The dog heads outside, so she follows him and even tells Azuna in a hurry that she is outside. She follows him into the parking lot where he catches him and starts playing with him casually. She puts him into her lap and starts playing with him, so he also gets on top of her and licks her neck. He then suddenly transforms into a human Roan, which surprises her and she pushes him off of her. He asks her whether she doesn't want to know more about the forbidden grimoire, and she thinks that he is also a devil, but he informs her that he is the Hell's watchdog Cerberus instead. He offers to reveal more information to her if she follows him, and he comments that he won't force her, which makes her believe him a little. She calls Azuna to let her know that she is going ahead because of something she remembered, and she then follows him. The other council members reach Azuna instead, and the others Shiki for running ahead even though he is just a measly fallen angel. Shiki tells them that Azuna is bound to know Ritsuka's location, and meanwhile Rem wakes up to find that all the council members are gone. Roan leads Ritsuka through a huge hallway and he senses something at a distance, so he tells her to hurry up. She finds his behavior sus, so she tells him that she won't follow him unless he tells her something right at that moment. Roan reveals that the war between vampires and devils is weakening, due to which they need the grimoire to restore their weakened powers. Ritsuka thinks that the grimoire can be used to revive the devils, but Roan corrects her that the book can be used to control the world itself. He then suspiciously starts sniffing her because he finds her fragrance very seductive, and Ritsuka's ring propels him backwards. He comments that the power of grimoire lies within her, since her fragrance is the proof that she herself is the grimoire and that anyone who has her can open the gates of hell to control it. He tells her that he can take out the power of grimoire from inside her and present it to his master Maxis, after which she will get her mother back and no one will disturb her family since the war between the vampires and devils will be concluded. She wonders whether he is really telling the truth, and he yaps endlessly about how things will turn all right for her if she can only listen to him. Azuna holds off the council boys by throwing holy water on them, but it gets finished soon. Lindo then comes rushing towards her and Shiki teleports the boys away because they don't want to cause too many problems in front of the school. Lindo asks her about Ritsuka and she comments that she has gone home, which makes them both realize that she may be in trouble. Rem overhears Roan arguing with Ritsuka, where he tells her that the forbidden grimoire will activate on her 17th birthday, after which it will remain activated till the next full moonlight, and Ritsuka recalls that Lindo had told her that the family was originally planning to tell her everything before her 17th birthday. Roan offers her to sleep in a bed till her 17th birthday so that all the time can pass by without much trouble, and he asks her to take off her ring as well. She is about to take it off when Rem stops her and she notices that he has a lot of scratches on his face. Roan tells Rem that his father will tear his limbs if he fails his mission, and Rem cannot believe that Roan would start working for Maxis again, even though he should be obligated to the Arlen family for taking him in. Roan continues to yap uselessly, so Rem blows him off and Roan apprehends Ritsuka to stop him. He digs her nails into her chest to make it bleed, and he reminds him that he won't let him have the grimoire's previous vessel. Ritsuka then screams, which sends Roan flying back due to her ring's powers, and suddenly Lindo gets teleported in front of her. He notices the blood on her chest, which makes him furious, and his eyes turn red as he turns into a psycho once again. He lunges towards Rem, so Ritsuka steps between them to stop him, and he throws her to the ground as well. She still runs between them and he ends up scratching her face. Rem tries to stop him and he starts to overpower him by his sheer strength alone. Rem yells at him to remember Ritsuka and he snaps back to reality as he regains his senses. Ritsuka hugs him and assures him that everything is alright while Rem walks away from them. They get teleported to the outside, where Roan declares to show her the way to Maxis in secret. Later, Lindo tells her that they all knew that she was the grimoire and that the potpourri necklace her mom had given her was supposed to seal her fragrance, but after her grandfather's death, her emotions were too strong, due to which the fragrance leaked into the world for some time. The supernatural creatures tracked her fragrance to locate their family, and Ritsuka believes that everything is her fault because she likes whining, and Lindo assures her that he and their mom only want to protect her at any cost. She thinks that she should just give away the grimoire to avoid all the trouble, and Lindo tells her that her current life will end if she gives away the grimoire. Later she wonders whether Lindo is even telling her the truth and whether everyone is lying around her. The Shiko Academy prepares for the cultural festival while Ritsuka remains confused about everything due to all the recent events, and she thinks about how she only wants to find her mom. She keeps thinking about Rem, and later Lindo blesses her after throwing holy water on her. He advises her to take caution against many outsiders who will be coming for the cultural festivals, and he is pretty sure that many vampires and devils will be among them. Azuna comes to get her and she heads to school with her and Lindo, who make her promise that she will stay with one of them at all cost. They arrive at the cultural festival, which is bursting with activities, and Azuna mentions that there is even a school dance happening at night time. The council boys look for Roan and Rem informs them that he won't be coming anymore. He explains that Roan was still loyal to his previous master Maxis even though he had been sealed long ago by his father, and that he meant to use the power of grimoire to bring back Maxis. Rem then declares that he has found the grimoire and that Ritsuka's grandfather Professor Tachibana had actually made arrangements before his death to hide the grimoire in an old church in Vienna. He reveals that his men have gone to Vienna to retrieve it, which makes the others think that the Arlen family will be the one to get the grimoire in the end. Shiki proposes to the others that they can still get to the grimoire before Rem's dad to possess all the powers in the world, and the others taunt him that they were already planning to do this. Rem thinks about how the grimoire actually lies inside Ritsuka and how she will die if he extracts the grimoire from her. Azuna and Ritsuka tend to customers at their stall when they notice Lindo creepily keeping an eye on them, and Azuna leaves to make him stop. Just then a random girl tells Ritsuka that she has a customer, and Ritsuka heads to the backside where she comes across Yuri, who asks him to become his partner at the night dance. He asks her to devote her mind and body to him, after which he will show her true love. Mage pushes him to a side as he asks her to become his partner instead, and he reveals that Rem told them that the grimoire is in Vienna, due to which they are not pestering her but just want to dance with her. She pushes him away and he and Yuri start to, but they're together. Shiki takes the opening chance to ask her to become his partner instead, and he notices that her usual fragrance isn't very apparent. They all start smelling her like a bunch of dogs, and Azuna interferes with them as she throws holy water on them. She asks them to leave her friend alone, and Lindo also arrives with his book. He starts chanting holy verses which the boys find a nuisance, and suddenly a huge group of girls run towards them. They all drag the council boys with them, and Ritsuka then reveals to her group about what Rem has told the others about the grimoire, which makes Azuna conclude that he must have lied to the boys to stop them from interfering in his search. Later the night dance begins, in which everyone gathers in their fancy dresses, and there is a tradition that a boy and girl will be king and queen for the night, who will get a chance to dance in the middle in front of everyone. Azuna informs Ritsuka that they are randomly selected in case they get crowns in their wine glasses, and Ritsuka drinks her own glass, which reveals a crown at the bottom. The other council members drink their glasses, but nothing appears in their glass, and Rem then casually walks into the room, which twists a bunch of panties. He drinks his glass, which reveals a crown at the bottom, and the students surround the both of them as they start chanting king and queen. Both Rem and Ritsuka get seated on 2 chairs erected for them, and Rem tells her that it's just a sheer coincidence. The council members wonder whether Rem cheated, and Azuna comforts Lindo that Rem won't try anything in such public. The students start cheering for the couple to dance together, so Rem extends his hand out to her and he forcibly takes it when she seems reluctant. They both head to the dance floor, where Rem tells her to follow his lead since she cannot dance, and their dance begins. She thanks him for his help with Lindo, but he keeps acting like a Sigma Chad who doesn't need any gratitude, and she notices that their hands are practically burning from the touch. Their dance ends after a while with fireworks going off in the background, and the rest of the students rush to the balcony to watch them, while Rem and Ritsuka keep staring at each other. Their trance breaks after a moment and he walks away from her. Later they all head home, and Lindo notices that Ritsuka is lost in her thoughts while she keeps thinking that maybe she has some feelings for Remington. A group of vampires appear out of nowhere, and Lindo and Azuna attack them. They start exorcising them one by one, and Azuna puts Ritsuka in a magical circle to protect her. Lindo keeps killing the vampires, but they are too many in numbers, and his eyes suddenly turn red again. His nails grow long as well, and he runs through the vampires, killing them one by one. Another vampire appears behind Ritsuka and tries to take her, so Azuna rushes at him and inflicts damage on him. He becomes furious, so he stabs her back and she collapses on the ground. Ritsuka sees her bleeding out on the ground and she screams out loud, which makes her emit a strong light. Her ring breaks and the vampires turn into ash due to the light. The devils also sense her presence, and Azuna takes her last breaths in her arms before dying. Ritsuka continues to emit the light, and the vampire leader vows to come back at a later time to retrieve her. Ritsuka continues crying till she tires herself out, and the light around her disappears as she collapses. Lindo rushes to her side and sees Azuna's dead body at a distance. Soon after they are gone, the other council members appear and discuss how Ritsuka is actually the grimoire. They wonder why Rem lied to them, and Mage declares that he cannot track her scent, probably because Lindo has suppressed it. Shiki then starts making fun of Azuna's dead body as he calls it a poor little thing, and he sees that the others have gone ahead without him, so he rushes ahead to catch up with them. After he is gone, Rem appears at the scene and he wonders why he is still hesitating to capture the grimoire. Lindo appears before the church elders, who comments that it must be hard for him to have a sister who is actually the grimoire. They commend him for keeping the grimoire safe, and they mention that Azuna will soon be awarded. They then give him a new ring since the previous one broke, and assure him that he and his sister will be alright. Ritsuka wakes up after dreaming about Azuna, and Lindo tells her that they will stay in the Exorcist Society till the powers of the grimoire fade after her 17th birthday. She learns about Azuna's death once again, which makes her think that she is better off dead since everything keeps happening because of her, and Lindo assures her that she needs to keep living for Azuna's sake as well. He reveals that Azuna was always afraid that she would discover her identity as an exorcist, and that she was really glad when she accepted her as a friend even after finding out about her identity. Ritsuka then goes back to sleep and he makes her wear the ring, which wakes her up again. She tells him never to leave her and he promises to always stay by her side. She goes back to sleep and he kisses her forehead. Sometime later, Lindo gets a blessing from church people who pray for the dark forces to be purified and for him to receive the sacred light. They pour some kind of liquid on his back which hurts him a lot, and they tell him to endure it because it will cleanse the impurity within him. He collapses down on his knees due to the unbearable pain, and the church brother states that he believes in loyalty, after which they proceed to pour more liquid on his back. Mage teleports himself on a huge tower to sniff Ritsuka out, and he finds that the other council members are already present there. They taunt him about being too slow and mention that they also want to find Ritsuka as soon as possible, but she is behind a powerful barrier for now. They point towards the building, which is the exorcist's den, and Shiki mentions that she doesn't necessarily have to be fully safe there. Lindo comes back to Ritsuka's room in pain and he finds that she is missing. Meanwhile, Ritsuka gets summoned to the church elders and they declare that she has fallen too deeply with the agent of darkness, due to which she has to undergo a ceremony to cleanse her impurity. They reveal that Lindo cannot be beside her, but it will have an adverse influence on him, and she then gets seated while a bunch of dudes appear with chains and surgical instruments. She realizes that something may be wrong, so she starts to struggle against them, and Lindo also barges inside just then. She rushes to his side and the elders tell him that the best course of action to combat darkness is to eliminate the grimoire altogether. Lindo can't believe this and he argues that the Exorcist Society is meant to protect the human world, so they cannot kill a human, but the elders believe that they have to take this necessary step to save all humanity. He still thinks that they have gone all mad, and one of the men comments that it is unnatural for a damper like him to understand their noble ideas. Ritsuka didn't know about this, and the church men tell her that Lindo is actually a half-human and a half-vampire. They tell Lindo to hand over Ritsuka to the church and they start preaching that the survival of humanity depends on him. He kicks down one of the torches and uses a magic spell to spread the fire around them. They both then make their escape while a group of society's brothers run after them. They rush out of the building and the other council members stop them from chasing after Ritsuka. Mage declares that Ritsuka is his, so Yuri argues against him that she is his butterfly, and Shiki tells them to stop yapping. They then decide to take care of the exorcists who want to kill Ritsuka. Lindo takes Ritsuka to an abandoned shrine where they decide to rest till the daybreak, and he informs her that his father was a vampire while his mother was a normal human, which makes him a hybrid damper. Ritsuka wonders whether she is also a damper, and he reveals that they are not actually siblings. In the past, Lindo goes to his mom Marta's room, but she cannot recall who he is, and he reminds her that he is her son. She tells him that her son Lindo was eaten by a monster, and she keeps asking him who he is. Later his mom ends up dying, and Ritsuka's mom tells him to protect Ritsuka as his real sister. In the present, he tells her that his mom became sick after she learned that she would be bearing a vampire's child, but he was never alone because he had his whole family with him. In the past, Ritsuka runs to show him a dragonfly, but she ends up tripping and he notices blood on her knee, which rouses his bloodthirst. He turns away from her and lies that he has a cold, but she still hugs him from behind, which comforts him. Sometime later, Lindo's grandfather locks him inside a room to make him train and to subdue the evil effects of his blood. He keeps crying in the locked room and Ritsuka sneaks inside to comfort him, but he assures her he is only taking lessons to have a strong heart. She declares that she will take the lessons with him, and he reminds her that she doesn't have to take any lessons since he will grow strong and protect her. In the present, he apologizes to her for keeping so many secrets, and she realizes that he was doing everything for her sake only. She tells him that he is still his precious family even if he is damper, and he hugs her in return. She thanks him for protecting her, and he starts yapping that he has always wanted to protect her, not as a brother but because he likes her. He confesses his feelings and even leans towards her to get close to her, but the door suddenly opens and Rem appears. Lindo comments that he must have come to get the grimoire, and he reminds Ritsuka not to believe in any devilish lies. They both head outside the shrine where they face each other, and Lindo declares to take care of him once and for all so that Ritsuka can remain protected. Lindo conjures magical circles to attack him, but Rem dodges them by teleporting himself, and he keeps attacking him, but Rem avoids all of his attacks smoothly. He then attacks him back with fire magic, and he attacks him again and again till Lindo is finally injured and falls down. Rem tells him to give up, and he is about to land his finishing blow when Ritsuka rushes to Lindo's side and asks him whether he is willing to take someone's life just to get the grimoire. She calls him a cruel killer and that she won't let any more people around her get killed. Lindo uses his remaining strength to attack him again, which sends him flying, and Rem disappears. She sees that Lindo is heavily bleeding, and he tells her that he cannot go to a normal hospital because of his damper nature. The next morning she makes him rest in a dorm building where she decides that she will keep on living no matter what for the sake of her family, and she throws away the crown she was keeping from the school dance. The vampire leader who killed Azuna named Jack assures him that he also has the life of the boy in his hands. Lindo talks in his sleep asking Ritsuka to stay with him, and she holds his hand as she assures him that she is with him. She recalls that when they were children, Lindo climbed a tree for her sake and tried to retrieve a cat, but he ended up falling down while he was saving the cat. She wonders why she cannot heal his wounds even though she is the grimoire, and she recalls that she once tried staying outside in the rain because her flowers were gonna get flattened, but he forced her to come inside. He then built an enclosure for the flowers for her sake, due to which he ended up sick, and he told her that it's his fault for being so weak. She also recalls how he confessed his feelings for her, and she then heads outside to find something to drink and eat. Since it's the day after the cultural festival, the school is pretty much empty, and she manages to find some apples and water. She recalls how she had her dance with Rem, and then she runs back to Lindo's side. Meanwhile Rem holds the dancing crown in his hand when the other council members approach him and inform him that they have taken care of the exorcists. They demand to know why he made a fool of them by lying to them about the forbidden grimoire, and he reminds them that the status and tradition is everything to the devils. He calls them stupid for being so self-hearted, and they think that he was just trying to keep them away from Ritsuka herself. Shiki tells him to give him Ritsuka after taking out the grimoire from her, and Mage argues with him that he wants Ritsuka for himself. Yuri declares that he won't let anyone lay a hand on his butterfly since she is his pet, and Rem becomes furious to hear all of this. He yells at them to stay away from the grimoire and releases his devil powers, which shuts all of them up. They think that Ritsuka is important to him as well, but Rem doesn't admit this and instead lies that she is just a grimoire to him. They keep calling out his lies, and Yuri comments that they cannot trust him any longer. They tell him to admit his feelings and to admit that he wants her and not the grimoire, but he keeps denying everything, that he doesn't have any feelings for her. The boys keep pestering him endlessly and demand to know the real truth. Ritsuka comes across a vampire when she is going to Lindo, and he tells her to come with him for the sake of her mom and Lindo. He is actually Jack in his actual vampire form, and he tells her that they have been taking care of her mom, but she reminds him that her mom was abducted. He tells her that he doesn't need to trick her since he can pretty much take care of her much easier than an apple, and he wonders how her blood tastes, which makes her realize that he is actually a vampire. She then puts some water and apples beside Lindo and promises to return soon. Jack then takes her to a random alley where she runs into an old guy who starts pestering her, but he changes his attitude when he sees Jack with her. Jack comments that he hates humans since they change their attitudes according to their audience, and they walk further while a group of vampires take care of the old guy. He takes her down an elevator into an antique-looking room where her mom is lying on a bed, and before she can rush to her side, he advises her to not wake her up since she is dreaming. Ritsuka notices that her mom has teeth marks on her neck, to which Jack tells her that a little bit of feeding won't turn her into a vampire since they don't want to increase their numbers. Lindo wakes up to find that Ritsuka is not with him, and meanwhile the council members continue arguing between themselves. The others tell Rem that they haven't forgotten that Maxis is their common enemy, or that he is the Arlen family heir, but they cannot trust him since he won't spill the truth to them, due to which they will get to the grimoire first. Jack gives Ritsuka tea to drink, and he starts narrating a fairy tale to her, according to which there was a professor long ago who wanted to gather the answers to all the mysteries of the world. He wanted to know the most about the forbidden grimoire, and when he got to know its mysteries the devils found out about it, so one of the devils started to lure his daughter into a trap. The Devil King lured the professor's daughter, and afterwards they had a daughter who was the first human born of royal devil blood in many centuries. The girl contained the power of the grimoire, which could be used to rule the world, and the devil was overjoyed. His name was Maxis, while his partner was Maria, and their daughter turned out to be Ritsuka herself. Ritsuka cannot believe that her father was the Devil King, and she hears her mom, so she rushes to her side. Maria apologizes to her, and Ritsuka assures her that everything will be alright. Jack thinks that she must be a confused little girl, but Ritsuka feels relieved to know the truth about her identity and existence, since she had been wondering for a long time why weird things kept happening around her. Jack reveals that their vampire king Nesta can save her, and he yaps about how the devils have always targeted them and suppressed them. He tells her that Nesta can remove the powers of grimoire from her body, and when she asks him how he would do that, he tells her that Nesta hasn't told his underlings about his methods. He keeps yapping about the vampires defeating the devils, and even opens up a door which throws out a burst of air. He asks her to come inside and assures that her mom will be alright. She follows him to an underground tunnel where they both get on a boat, and Jack keeps up his yapping about how Nesta will annihilate all the devils, after which the humans can continue living their normal lives while the vampires will claim the demon realm. They reach a river which leads to the vampire castle, and meanwhile Lindo continues to search for Ritsuka in their school. The full moon turns red, and Roan also appears at the school where he notices the crown that was thrown away by Ritsuka. Ritsuka finally reaches the vampire castle, and a group of vampires welcome them. A vampire extends his hand to help her get off the boat, but she refuses his help. She tries to get off on her own but hurts her knee after tripping, and the scent of the blood causes all the vampires to almost lose control. Jack scolds them for acting like illiterate animals and guides her inside. They appear before a mirror, and she only sees herself in the mirror, so Jack explains that they use the mirror to identify intruders, which makes her recall how Lindo once told her that vampires don't have any reflection. They head further inside the castle until they reach a dark room, and the candles suddenly light up. The vampire king Nesta finally appears and notices the injury on her knee, which makes him furious. The vampire who tried to help Ritsuka out of the boat suddenly starts running away, but Nesta uses his telekinetic powers to break his neck. He pulls Ritsuka near him and grabs her face before saying that she looks really similar. He lets her down, and she asks him who he finds her similar to, so he answers that he is talking about her aunt, Marta, who is also Lindo's mother. He starts yapping about how Maria was the sun that made everything around her shine while Marta was like the moon who hated Maria as much as she loved her. He says that Ritsuka looks both like Maria and Marta, and she asks him how he knows about her aunt. He asks her if Lindo also looks similar to him because half of Lindo's blood is his because Lindo is the son of Marta and him. She realizes that Nesta is Lindo's father, and Nesta asks her if Lindo also thirsts for blood like him. She tells him that Lindo has never thirsted for blood, so Nesta mocks Lindo for being a damper and says that he doubts if Lindo is really even his son. He suddenly starts mocking Marta for wanting to be seduced, and Ritsuka questions if he even loved her, which makes Jack laugh. Nesta explains that he only wanted to know more about the grimoire and that is why he got closer to Marta, who only wanted him. Ritsuka calls him awful and says that he is nothing but their enemy. Jack tells her to shut up, but she starts shouting at him too, like that's going to defeat the vampires, and Nesta laughs about how she really is the Demon King's daughter. She asks him how he will get the grimoire out of her, and he explains that whoever gets her blood during a full moon on her 17th birthday will obtain the power of the grimoire. It's revealed that coincidentally, it is a full moon outside, and Nesta says that he will only need a small amount of her blood to do it. Jack announces that they need to prepare for the ceremony before the full moon reaches its peak, and loads of vampires start walking towards her while saying her name. They take her to a bath where a few girls start cleaning her, and she notices that she can see the reflections of the girls in the mirror, which means that they are not vampires. They dress her up before locking her inside a room, and she thinks about how things will finally go back to normal after she loses the power of the grimoire. She imagines what her life will be like afterwards, but suddenly realizes that Azuna will not be there anymore, which makes her cry. She sees a scissor nearby and she picks it up, but the room suddenly opens. Back at the academy, the devils wonder where she has disappeared to, and they start pestering Rem about what he knows. Lindo and Roan enter the room, and Lindo asks the guys where Ritsuka is. They tell him that they were hoping to know that from him, and Roan suddenly reveals that she is in Nesta's castle. They all get shocked and Lindo tries to leave to save her, but Roan stops him. Mage, Shiki and Yuri talk about how they cannot let a vampire harm her, so Roan reminds them about how going to Nesta's castle is very dangerous and asks them if they still want to take the risk for her. The three say yes before asking Rem if he will go with them too. He hesitates for a second until Roan puts the crown he found in front of him, and Rem recalls the moment he accepted his feelings for her. He puts his own crown on the table too and accepts that he loves her too. Mage and Shiki head out first, and Yuri teases Rem a bit before teleporting away. Lindo asks Rem to take him with them, so Rem tells him to grab on, and they both teleport away. Roan talks about how he will get the grimoire no matter what for his master, Maxis, and he disappears after getting into the elevator. Yuri catches up with Mage and Shiki and asks them if they even know where Nesta's castle is, which makes them realize that they have no idea about it. They decide to follow Rem, but Roan manages to infiltrate the castle first in his dog form. Meanwhile, Ritsuka tells Jack that it's rude to enter a lady's room without knocking, and Jack remarks that he likes mature women like Marta. He walks toward the sofa while talking about how the ceremony won't hurt, and she quickly hides the scissor inside her chest. She asks him how much blood does Nesta actually need to take the grimoire out of her, and she starts yapping about how she has never even donated any blood. He roasts her by saying that she is lucky that she did not donate any blood because her grimoire blood would turn people into monsters. She asks him why he is talking as if she is a monster, and he questions why she thinks that she is not one. She states that she will return to being a human once the grimoire gets removed and will resume her old life with everyone without any problems. Jack lets out a smirk and tells her to follow him as it's time for the ceremony to begin, but she gets suspicious. She asks him if she will really be able to return to her old life or not, but he does not answer. She then threatens him by saying that she will not go to the ceremony if he does not answer. Jack turns into a Chad and slaps her before telling her to not waste time. He grabs her by the hair and reveals that Nesta will drink all of her blood, which means she will die. He starts yapping about how great Nesta is and drags her to the hall where he is. Nesta approaches her, but she tries to stab him with the scissors she hid before, and she fails. He grabs her and uses his powers to control her body so she cannot resist. Her body follows him to the ceremony hall even though her mind resists it, and she lies down on the altar. He almost bites her neck, but Roan interrupts him, and Lindo and Rem also arrive. She escapes Nesta's control and runs towards them as the other council members all arrive too. Jack grabs her before she can reach them, and he threatens them to back off if they don't want her to die. Rem and Lindo warn him not to try anything dumb, and loads of vampires suddenly appear from the shadows. Roan tells Jack to back away from her and suddenly uses magic to create fire around them to make the vampires back off. Nesta walks down and mocks them for thinking that they can just come to his castle and leave with their lives afterwards. He orders all the vampires to recall their ancient grudge against the devils and to attack them without hesitating. Rem burns several vampires with fire magic and uses his plants to kill them. Mage uses his electricity to turn them to dust and Shiki uses his feathers to send them to the afterlife. Roan turns his shadow into dogs that attack the shadows of the vampires to kill them. Lindo, being the uncool one, just uses his claws to cut down his enemies while trying to approach Ritsuka. Nesta drags her to the altar again but gets distracted while watching the devil, so Ritsuka attacks him with a nearby candle stand and tries to run away. Jack grabs her again and uses his special powers of slapping her once again, which makes her shut up. He hands her over to Nesta again, who tries to drink her blood but she keeps resisting. Roan interrupts him at the last second once again by using his dogs to attack him and she escapes Nesta's clutches. Jack chases after her this time too, but Rem attacks him, so he backs off and she manages to reach Lindo. Rem also appears beside them and Lindo hands her over to Rem so he can block Jack from approaching her. Rem teleports her away from the battlefield and hugs her tight while the rest are fighting for their lives against the vampires. He tells her not to do anything dangerous and reveals that there is something he wants to tell her after they escape this place. He declares that he will protect her no matter what, while on the other side, Lindo and Jack begin fighting each other. Lindo tries to slash him with his claws but Jack dodges his attacks and calls him ungrateful for going against them even though Nesta gave birth to him. Lindo says that he has no father and Jack calls them all fools for thinking that they can win against Nesta. Lindo brags about how he will defeat them but Jack manages to damage him the next moment. He tries to attack Lindo once again but gets subdued under an exorcist spell. Lindo manages to wound him and he falls down the building before getting impaled by a shadow that was below the building. Nesta calls him incompetent for dying so uselessly and he notices how the devils are thrashing the vampires. He realizes that Lindo is his son and uses his powers to make him believe that he really cared about him and Marta. He says that he always hoped to live with them like a loving family and can only make that dream come true if he has the grimoire, because they cannot live in the dark realm otherwise due to the devils. He says that he can destroy the devils and revive Marta if he has the grimoire. He calls Lindo to come to his side and Lindo starts losing control as he walks toward Nesta. He regains control as Nesta drops his guard and he stabs Nesta's heart with his claws to kill him. Lindo declares that he never had a father so he does not need one now, and Nesta collapses as all the blood drains from his body. All the vampires run away after seeing that their king has been killed and Lindo hugs Ritsuka. Mage notices Rem acting weird so he asks him about it and Nesta suddenly wakes up again. He mocks them all for thinking that a damper can kill them and they all wonder how he did not die after getting his heart pierced. Rem explains that Nesta has hidden his heart somewhere and he reveals that all vampire progenitors possess the ability to keep their heart outside of their body so they cannot be killed. Nesta releases a loud roar that blows them all away to the wall and Rem cushions Ritsuka with his own body. She thinks about how everything is the grimoire's fault and how everyone around her is getting hurt because of it. She decides that she will choose her own destiny and the clock suddenly reaches midnight, which activates the power of the grimoire sleeping inside of her. She decides that she will protect them all and she suddenly enters a dream world where she finds a knife. She hears a heart beating and notices that it's coming from a flower. She walks toward the flower while in the real world. She walks past Nesta who suddenly tries to attack her but Rem blocks his attack. She stabs the flower in the dream world and ends up stabbing Nesta's real heart hidden inside a statue. He turns into dust for real this time and the grimoire's powers fade away, which makes her collapse. Rem quickly grabs her and tells her that he never wants to let her go again. Mage mentions how the grimoire has also disappeared now because she has turned 17 and Yuri says that they just need to wait another 615 years to get it. After a while, Rem takes her outside and confesses his feelings to her. She reveals that she loves him too and they hug each other while Lindo watches the whole scene from the sidelines. He tells her that he has no reason to stay on Earth now that the grimoire has disappeared and asks her to come live with him in the Dark Realm. He promises that he will always keep her happy, but she tells him that she cannot leave the people dear to her. She thinks about what she should do and decides that she will continue to live as a human on Earth instead of going to the Dark Realm even if she is a half-devil. Yuri, Mage, Shiki and Roan leave for the Dark World one by one after saying their goodbyes and Rem returns the crown that she had thrown away previously. She clutches it tightly while crying and Rem kisses her before departing for the Dark World. Sometime later, she returns to her normal life with her mother and Lindo and continues to wear the crown at all times as a proof of her love to Remington. Meanwhile, Roan enters a room with a grimoire in the middle which opens up by itself and reveals 2 black pages in the middle. He suddenly says welcome back and calls out the name Maxis, which means that the story is yet to end. Will the devils and Ritsuka face another trial, and will Lindo's unrequited love ever come true? Comment your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe the channel for more.